Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top stories from India and across the world, starting with the headlines. In a historic visit to boost bilateral relations, Prime Minister Narendra Modi presides over the signing of 12 agreements with Iran, 3 of them on developing the Chabahar port to improve connectivity. ISRO takes first step in developing reusable space shuttles. The reusable launch vehicle RLV-TD is tested successfully. Three police officials are killed in Srinagar in the first such attacks in 3 years. Security forces now on a manhunt for Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists. And airstrikes and suicide attacks by Islamic State terrorists in Syria. Over 100 people are killed in 2 strongholds of the Bashar al-Assad regime. Let's start with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 2-day visit to Iran. The trilateral agreement on the Chabahar port between India, Iran and Afghanistan was signed in Tehran today. Chabahar is the first foreign port in which India is involved to this extent. The Chabahar port in the Gulf of Oman on Iran's southern coast with Afghanistan will allow India to bypass Pakistan to transport goods to Afghanistan and Central Asia using a sea-land route.
We made to write new chapters in our engagement.
دیدار امروز ما آغاز فصل جدید در مشارکت‌های ما خواهد بود.
Excellencies, the agreement of the establishment of a trilateral transport and transit corridor signed just a while ago can alter the course of history of this region.
عالی جنابان، قرارداد راه اندازی یک کریدور سه جانبه حمل و نقل و ترانزیت کالا که تازه به امضا رسیده میتواند مسیر تاریخ این منطقه را تغییر دهد.
It is a new foundation of convergence between our 3 nations.
این قرارداد بنیان نهادن یک مسیر تازه همگرایی در میان سه ملت است.
The corridor would spur unhindered flow of commerce through the region.
And earlier on the second day of the Prime Minister's visit to the Gulf nation, India and Iran signed 12 agreements during delegation-level bilateral talks in Tehran. The 2 nations also decided to jointly combat terror, radicalism and cybercrime.
India on Monday signed 12 agreements with Iran, including a contract to develop the first phase of the strategic Chabahar port. Under the pact, India will provide $500 million to develop the port. The deal helps New Delhi gain a foothold in the Islamic country and win access to Central Asia and Afghanistan. The 2 sides also signed agreements in diverse fields like trade credit, culture, science and technology and railways.
با سرمایه‌گذاری هندوستان در توسعه بندر چابهار و تجهیز آن و همچنین اعتباراتی که برای بندر چابهار از طرف هندوستان مد نظر هست، چابهار میتونه تبدیل بشه به یک نماد بزرگ همکاری بین 2 کشور بزرگ ایران و هندوستان.
In a joint statement, Modi and Iranian President Hassan Rouhani stressed that both the countries can improve economic cooperation. India and Iran also agreed to share intelligence to fight threats of terrorism, radicalism, drug trafficking and cybercrime. Moreover, the 2 countries will enhance interaction between their defense and security institutions on regional and maritime security.
We have agreed to consult closely and regularly on combating threats of terrorism, radicalism, drug trafficking and cybercrime.
Modi also inaugurated an Indian cultural festival in Iran and held talks with the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Hosseini Khamenei. The Prime Minister arrived in Iran on Sunday evening for the 2-day visit to Iran. Qurban Ali's report from Tehran for Rajya TV.
In other news, ISRO today took the first step in developing its first reusable space shuttle. Dubbed Swadeshi, the RLV-TD, which is the reusable launch vehicle technology demonstrator, took off successfully from the Sriharikota spaceport in Andhra Pradesh. The mission was known as the hypersonic flight experiment and was successfully accomplished in about 10 minutes.
India's first of its kind space satellite launch vehicle RLV-TD was launched from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh on Monday morning. Indigenously built and capable of launching satellites into orbit around Earth and then re-enter the atmosphere, RLV or the reusable launch vehicle will drastically cut down the cost of launches by as much as 10 times.
The rockets are expended after each launch, so the cost of launch goes up. So in case we can recover these modules and reuse, then it is going to have a significant improvement in the cost reduction program. Such a cost reduction is a must for future launches, for human space flight or creating space platforms and so on.
Built at the Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre in Thiruvananthapuram by a team of 600 scientists over a period of 5 years, the scaled version of the RLV is 6.5 meters long and weighs about 1.75 tons. The cost of the project is 95 crore rupees. ISRO plans to test 2 more prototypes before the final version that will be about 6 times larger and will take off around 2020. The Prime Minister congratulated ISRO on Twitter.
Indeed, this is a great day for all of us, and as you rightly said, as somebody associated with the Department of Space Government of India, it gives me a special sense of pride. And I'm sure today's day, the 23rd of May 2016, will go down in the history of ISRO as a landmark day.
The successful launch also puts India on an elite list of spacefaring nations, including the United States, Japan and Russia, which have been using their own RLVs for years.
अगर हम लोग अमेरिका और रशिया के जो स्पेस शटल जो प्रोग्राम थे उसके साथ कंपैरिजन करते हैं तो अभी ये हमारा बिल्कुल एक एक्सपेरिमेंटल स्टेज में है. हमें फुल स्केल मॉडल हम लोगों ने फुल स्केल साइज़ में नहीं किया, लेकिन इस बात में हम लोग सक्सेस पे खुश हो सकते हैं कि हम ही वो एक कंट्री है जो स्पेस शटल प्रोग्राम पे इस समय काम कर रही है.
On its maiden flight on Monday, the RLV-TD was not recovered. However, scientists were able to gather data on autonomous landing and hypersonic speed, which will be used to improve the design, paving the way for the final model. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Srinagar witnessed 2 terror attacks this morning, the first in as many as 3 years. 3 policemen lost their lives in the attacks, which were carried out by the militants of the Hizbul Mujahideen group. Security has now been beefed up across the valley to ward off further such attempts by militants.
Within a space of 2 hours, heavily armed terrorists carried out 2 attacks in Srinagar, killing 3 policemen. In the Zadebal area, terrorists on motorcycles shot at police officers standing at a tea stall near their post. An assistant sub-inspector and a head constable were killed after being shot at from a close range. In the second attack at Tangpora, terrorists shot dead a policeman posted as a personal security guard to Muhammad Abdullah Chatwal, the chairman of the Jammu and Kashmir Pasmanda Tabqa Jat. The assailants also snatched a service rifle of the policeman.
पिछले कई महीनों से जो हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन और लश्कर तैयबा के खिलाफ जो हमारे ऑपरेशंस है उसमें काफ़ी टेररिस्ट जो है वो न्यूट्रलाइज हुए हैं. तो एक डेस्परेशन के तौर पे उन्होंने जो रूटीन पेट्रोलिंग ड्यूटी या रूटीन ट्रैफिक रेगुलेशन ड्यूटीज पे जो कांस्टेबल्स या ऑफिसर्स तैनात होते हैं उन पे अटैक किया.
The attacks by the Hizbul Mujahideen in downtown Srinagar are the first after nearly 3 years. Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti assured strict action while paying tribute to the dead policemen. The centre put security agencies on high alert after the incident. News reports say that in the last 4 months, as many as 40 terrorists could have crossed the Pakistani border into Jammu and Kashmir.
गृह मंत्री जी और गृह मंत्रालय इसका संज्ञान लिए हुए हैं सारे घटनाक्रम का, और ये आश्वस्त करवाया गया है कि हर प्रकार की परिस्थिति से निपटने के लिए हमारी सुरक्षा सेनाएं, सुरक्षा एजेंसीज सक्षम हैं.
तकरीबन हर साल ऐसे होता है, जब गर्मियां आती हैं, जब बर्फ़ पिघलने लगती है, तब ऐसी वारदातें बढ़ जाती हैं. यकीन मैं कश्मीर के अवाम को, आप सबको ये दिलाना चाहता हूँ कि आर्मी, आरआर, पुलिस, सीआरपीएफ के साथ मिलकर, सब इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसियों के साथ मिलकर हम लोग पूरी मुस्तैदी से तैयार हैं ऐसे किसी भी हालात के लिए. और हम ऐसे इनके इरादे कामयाब नहीं होने देंगे.
The twin attacks in Srinagar come just 2 days after a soldier was killed in an encounter with militants in Kupwara district. 5 terrorists were also killed in that gun battle. Thousands of people attended their funeral, which observers claim could be a sign of growing restlessness in the valley. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Union Health Minister JP Nadda briefed President Pranab Mukherjee today on the reason for promulgating the ordinance to keep state boards out of the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test or NEET this year. The President had summoned the Health Ministry or the Health Minister to know the basis for the Cabinet's decision on the ordinance. The ordinance is aimed at partially overturning a Supreme Court order that said that all government colleges, deemed universities and private medical colleges will be covered under the umbrella of the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test. The Apex Court ruled that students would have to appear for NEET starting this academic session for admissions to medical and dental colleges across the country. More than 15 states opposed its conduct, citing reasons such as different syllabus and languages at a recent health ministers' meeting. The next phase of the exam is scheduled for the 24th of July. Nearly 6.5 lakh students have already taken the test in the first phase that was held on the 1st of May. And now to our continuing focus on India's drought crisis. Rajasthan's Ajmer district is in the grip of a severe drought, with residents surviving on water provided only by tankers for months now, while many people are leaving villages in search of work. Here's a special report by RSTV's Arvind Kumar Singh.
One of the largest districts of Rajasthan, Ajmer, has a glorious heritage. It includes the world-famous symbol of Hindu-Muslim unity, the Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti Shrine, the annual Pushkar Fair, many excellent water bodies and a huge lake. But these days, the population of over 25 million is thirsty. Nasirabad is the worst affected. Tanks have no water and the large pond in Chhat, a village of 600 people, is completely dry. Both human beings and animals are suffering.
बहुत दिक्कत है पानी के पीने के लिए तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम है अभी 4 दिन 5 दिन से नल आता है तो उसमें प्रॉब्लम जानवरों को पानी पिलाने के लिए प्रॉब्लम हो रही है बारिश का पानी बिल्कुल आया नहीं कुछ तालाब में कुछ तो कुएं भी सूख रहे हैं
Farming has already been a casualty for some time. Farm laborers have no work. People from almost 1,176 villages are engaged in a desperate flight from home in search of work. Water is supplied for 1 hour once every 8 days or at times even 10 days. The same is true of power supply. Animals are getting the worst of it.
पानी मतलब टाइम पर आ नहीं पा रहा है विशेष करके कि हम तो मतलब टैंकर डलवा के ही पी लेंगे लेकिन जानवरों के लिए हमको बहुत परेशानी है घास की और पानी की वो सरकार से हम ये कहना चाहते हैं कि जैसे गरीब लोग हैं तो उनकी थोड़ी मदद हो जाए तो अच्छी बात है क्योंकि जानवरों का और उनका देखभाल बड़ी मुश्किल से होता है
The heat wave not only broke a 50-year-old record, it has imposed a curfew, forcing people to stay indoors. The government hasn't come forward with much relief. Agriculture has been destroyed to such an extent that back-to-back droughts have broken the will of farmers to invest in it.
बिल्कुल सूखा है साहब पानी है कहीं कोई किसी कुएं में पानी नहीं है ये कुआं आप मौके पे जाकर भी देखोगे तो सब में बिल्कुल सूखा पड़ा है सरकार की तरफ से कोई कुछ नहीं है
Despite the unprecedented agrarian crisis in the countryside, the necessary government stimulus seems to be missing. The biggest problem before villagers is that of forced migration. The situation is very critical in some areas. Arvind Kumar Singh's report from Ajmer for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's take you through some more national news updates in Nationwide. J. Jayalalitha today took oath as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu for a second term in a row. K. Rozaiya administered the oath to Jayalalitha and her cabinet of 28 ministers at the Centenary Auditorium of Madras University. AIADMK bucked anti-incumbency by bagging 134 seats out of 232 in the state legislature. 10 labourers were killed and 5 others injured after a landslide in Chakrata area of Dehradun earlier today. The mishap took place early in the morning while the labourers were sleeping. Boulders rolled down after strong winds and thunder showers hit the area. The labourers were working on a project under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. An Indian climber has died on Mount Everest and 2 others have gone missing, taking the death toll from the ongoing Himalayan climbing season to 5. Subhash Paul is the 5th climber to have died while attempting to scale Mount Everest. Expedition officials located Sunita Hazara, who was airlifted to safety. Paresh Nath and Gautam Ghosh, who were in the same team as Paul, are untraceable since Saturday. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal announced that his party, the Aam Aadmi Party, will contest next year's assembly elections in Goa. The party has made inroads in a few other states too, including Western Punjab and Maharashtra. Addressing a rally in Panji, Kejriwal assured the establishment of an honest government in Goa, which has been under BJP's rule since 2012. Without a quick break here, we'll be back with the international news in a bit. Stay with us.
Mega spectrum auctions of 2016, which we hope to have around July of this year, will put spectrum in enough quantity on the table. 100,000 gram panchayats would be connected with 100 Mbps, which is huge speeds. The next couple of years, India will become a hub for the manufacture of mobile phones. I expect a figure of 500 million mobile phones to be manufactured in India by 2018-19.
Watch Telecom Secretary J.S. Deepak articulate in State of the Economy on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get to international news. And at least 120 people were killed in a series of bomb attacks in 2 government strongholds on Syria's Mediterranean coast. 7 explosions were reported that killed 73 people in Jabla and 48 in Tartus province. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for both the attacks.
Multiple explosions in Syrian coastal cities of Jabla and Tartus killed more than 100 people and injured many others. 7 explosions were reported, 4 from Jabla in the Latakia province and 3 from the Tartus province further south. The Syrian observatory said 73 people were killed in Jabla and 48 in Tartus. Government-controlled Tartus that hosts Russian forces saw 5 suicide attacks and 2 car bombs injuring scores of people. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attacks, claiming that it was targeting President Bashar al-Assad supporters. Both cities are strongholds of the Assad regime. Assad's family hails from the Kardaha village just 25 kilometers east of Jabla. They have been relatively insulated from the war that has killed over 2 lakh people so far since March 2011. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama has confirmed the death of Taliban chief Mullah Akhtar Mansoor in a US drone strike. Mansoor's death is seen as an important development in efforts to bring peace to Afghanistan. His death is also likely to trigger another leadership tussle within the Taliban, which is already facing internal divisions.
It has been confirmed that he is dead, and he is an individual who, as head of the Taliban, was specifically targeting U.S. personnel and troops inside of Afghanistan who are there.
US President Barack Obama confirming the death of Afghan Taliban chief Mullah Akhtar Mansoor. The US President hailed Mullah Akhtar's death as an important milestone in the efforts to bring peace to Afghanistan. Obama, however, stressed that the operation does not mark a shift in the American military mission in Afghanistan.
This does not represent a shift in our approach. We are not re-entering the day-to-day combat operations that are currently being conducted by Afghan security forces. Our job is to help Afghanistan secure its own country, not to have our men and women in uniform engage in that fight for them.
Mansoor had earlier rejected efforts by the Afghan government to engage in peace talks and end the violence that has taken the lives of countless innocent people. Analysts believe Mansoor's death could be an opportunity for the Afghan government to resume peace talks with the militant group. But they also caution that it is likely to trigger retaliations and pose new security threats.
We know that there will be more violence. We know that there will be some revenge attacks launched by Taliban and Haqqani network. We know that perhaps today or tomorrow there will be more suicide bombings in Kabul. But we ultimately know that Taliban will not take over Kabul.
The latest blow to the Taliban also sets up a potential succession showdown in the deeply divided insurgent group. Afghan guerrilla commander Sirajuddin Haqqani has emerged as a possible successor, a more dangerous warlord in the Taliban insurgency, also responsible for the most bloody attacks. Taliban is the most powerful insurgent group in war-ravaged Afghanistan. It seized power in 1996 but was toppled by a US-led invasion following 9/11. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
With floodwaters starting to recede from the streets of Colombo and other flood-affected areas of Sri Lanka, authorities are now bracing up to meet the mounting challenge of preventing the outbreak of epidemics. The death toll has risen to 92, while over 100 people are still missing.
As floodwaters start receding in Sri Lanka, people are coming back to their homes to take stock of the devastation. After days of torrential rain followed by massive floods and landslide had severely hampered life in the island nation. More than 240,000 people have been displaced, most of them in the capital Colombo, where the Kalani River broke its banks.
මගේ සම්පූර්ණ යට වුණා. ඒත් එක්කම අපේ මේ කඩේ ගබඩා තිබිච්ච යකඩ කම්බි ඉතුරු වටිනා අයිටම් ඔක්කොම යට වුණා. ලක්ෂ 20කට යට වුණා. ඒත් එක්කම අපේ කඩේ මහපාර තියෙන කඩේ ලක්ෂ 60ක බඩුව ඇති. ඒක යට වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the death toll has risen to over 90. Soldiers searching for victims buried in debris in 3 villages pulled out 15 more bodies from the rubble. The receding water level has brought the fear of waterborne diseases.
Once the water goes down, the flood levels, there'll be fever, and of course because of the germs in the water, it's injured between their toes, so it's all infected, so we have to give antibiotics for them.
People have been asked to stay extra vigilant as further rains are expected to break over the island in the next few days. Foreign aid has also begun arriving, with an Indian Air Force plane bringing supplies to the capital and 2 Indian naval ships also docked in Sri Lanka. President Maithripala Sirisena has urged people to provide shelter and donate cash or food to the flood victims. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now news from Indonesia. Rescuers are still searching ash-covered villages for survivors after a volcanic eruption during the weekend in which 7 people were killed. Mount Sinabung on the island of Sumatra erupted with clouds of ash and gas, and fast-moving flows reached temperatures of up to 700 degrees centigrade. In fact, homes around an area of nearly 8 miles were incinerated and dozens of people left with life-threatening burns. A high alert remains in place in the area around Mount Sinabung. Rescue teams are still finding survivors in neighboring villages as well. A similar eruption in 2014 had claimed 16 lives. And now let's get you more international stories in Global Buzz. On his first ever trip to Vietnam, US President Barack Obama today announced that the United States is fully lifting the decades-old ban on the sale of military equipment to Vietnam. Obama is seeking to strike a balance with Vietnam amid Chinese efforts to strengthen claims to the disputed territory in the South China Sea, one of the world's most important waterways. 18 girls aged between 5 to 12 years were killed after a fire swept through the dormitory of a school for children of hill tribes in northern Thailand. The fire started at 11 in the night when many of the girls were asleep and unable to escape as the flames engulfed the 2-storied building. Firefighters took 3 hours to extinguish the fire, which also injured 5 other girls, 2 of them in a serious condition. The cause of the fire was not immediately known. Government and business leaders, aid groups and donors gathered in Istanbul for the first World Humanitarian Summit this week. They will try to develop a more coherent response to what UN Chief Ban Ki-moon has called the worst global humanitarian situation since World War II. The United Nations estimates that more than 130 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance. The summit will also try to mobilize funds and get world leaders to agree on issues from better managing displaced civilians to renewing commitments to international humanitarian law. And now let's change tracks. Get you all the latest from the world of sports in Sports Beat. The BCCI today announced the Indian team for the upcoming Zimbabwe tour to be played in June this year. Skipper Mahendra Singh Dhoni will lead the 16-member Indian squad for the 3 ODIs and 3 T20 internationals. Senior players Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan have been rested from this tour. India's ace QS Pankaj Advani created history in Abu Dhabi by clinching the Asian 6 red snooker title. He also became the first QS in the world to hold both world and continental titles in the 6 red snooker at the same time. Sushila Chanu Pukhrambam will lead the 17-member Indian women's hockey squad in a 4-nation tournament in Australia. Sushila has been appointed as captain in place of the regular skipper Ritu Rani, who has been rested. Deepika has been retained as the vice-captain. The tournament will start on the 30th of May in Darwin and will feature world number 3 Australia, 4th ranked New Zealand and world number 10 Japan. An Argentine soccer player tragically died on the pitch on Sunday after colliding with another player during a regional league match. The player, identified as Mikel Favre, collided with his opponent and was unintentionally kneed to the head as he battled for possession. Favre was taken to a local hospital where he was declared dead. Ten-man Barcelona defeated Sevilla 2-0 to clinch their second straight Copa del Rey title on Sunday. After a goalless regulation time, Jordi Alba scored a goal in the 7th minute into extra time. Later, Neymar closed the scoring in stoppage time after a perfect setup by Messi to give Barcelona their 28th Copa trophy. And that's all we could get in on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.